Drew is alive, but now comes the really complicated part. Here's the thing about surviving something terrible. Sometimes the survival itself creates a whole new set of problems that are just as dangerous as the thing that almost killed you. And Drew is about to find that out in the most frustrating and maddening way possible. Geo pulled Drew out of that lake. He is alive. He is breathing. And for a moment, it might seem like the worst is over, like now that Drew can speak, now that he has his voice back and witnesses to what happened at that lakeside, the truth is finally going to come pouring out and justice is going to be served on a very large, very satisfying platter. But soap opera life is never that clean. And Drew's situation is about to prove that in spectacular fashion. Let us recap exactly what has been done to this man, because it is important to sit with the full picture. Willow shot Drew.
Twice.
Then she arranged to have him medically paralyzed so that he could not move, could not speak, could not tell a single soul what she had done to him. She obtained paralytic medication through a dangerous arrangement and injected him with it regularly to keep him trapped inside his own body while the world believed he had simply suffered a terrible stroke. All of this to protect herself, her children, her carefully constructed life. And Nina, knowing everything, complicit in all of it, just rolled that man's wheelchair into the lake while he was sitting in it, fully aware that in his current state he could not save himself. Attempted murder. That is what Nina committed at that lakeside. Not an accident. Not a moment of panic that got out of hand in some ambiguous way. She made a choice. And yet, here comes the twist that makes this story so much richer and more complicated than a simple tale of guilt and punishment. Jack has the black box. After all the back and forth, after Valentine's maneuvering and dealing, the box has ended up in Jack's hands. And inside that box is evidence. Evidence about Drew's own past, about misappropriated funds, about things Drew did that he most certainly does not want aired in front of a courtroom or a judge. Jack understands immediately what this means. That evidence is leverage. And if Drew wants to report everything, the paralysis, the injections, the shooting, the lake, he is going to have to be willing to go down for his own transgressions at the very same time. He would be walking into a situation where telling the truth about what Willow and Nina did to him could just as easily land him in a cell at Pentonville alongside them. Drew spent months trapped inside his own body. The last thing on earth he wants now that he is finally free is to trade one kind of prison for another. So picture the position he is in. He is furious. Rightfully, completely, understandably furious. He wants Willow held accountable. He wants Nina to face what she did at that lake. Every instinct in him is screaming that these women need to answer for what they put him through. But the moment that black box evidence enters the conversation, every one of those righteous instincts runs headfirst into the cold reality of self-preservation. Now add Nina's emotional state to the mix. Because Nina, even after everything, is not a simple villain. Part of her is horrified by what she did at that lakeside. Part of her feels genuine guilt, the kind that sits in your chest and will not move. She wanted Drew silenced, yes. But seeing him actually pulled out of that water, realizing just how close she came to killing a man, has shaken something loose in her. There is a version of Nina who wants to help him, who wants to make sure he is truly all right, who is already replaying that moment at the lake and feeling sick about it. But there is also the other Nina, the terrified one. The one who knows that if Drew opens his mouth and tells the truth, her life, as she knows it, is finished. So she is watching him carefully, waiting to see what he does with what he knows, calculating whether Brennan's leverage will be enough to keep everything from exploding. And Drew? He is calculating too. He is weighing everything, his anger, his desire for justice, his own exposure, the children involved, all of it, and what he ultimately decides to say about what happened at that lake may surprise everyone. There are strong indications that Drew may describe what happened as an accident. Not because he forgives anyone, not because he has gone soft, but because calling it an accident is the version of events that protects him too. For now, at least. Because this story is far from over. Drew covering for Willow and Nina in the short term does not mean he plans to let it go forever. It means he is playing the long game. And a man who survived being locked inside his own body for months, who endured what he endured with quiet, burning patience, absolutely knows how to play a long game. Stay very close to this one. Because what Drew does next is going to define everything. Ethan gets spooked and Lulu is about to be blindsided.
Now, let us talk about Ethan.
Because this storyline hit like a lightning bolt, and it is moving fast. Ethan came back to Port Charles and it felt like something good, like a familiar energy returning to a town that needed it. He had history here. He had family here. He had reasons to stay. And for a little while it seemed like he was going to do exactly that. Then Hudson arrived. Hudson came to Port Charles as a business executive with a deliberately vague backstory and a very specific mission. He is looking for someone. He has demands to make. He is not the kind of man who shows up in a new town to enjoy the scenery. He is there because he was sent, and whoever sent him is the kind of person who gets what they want. The moment Ethan found out Hudson was in Port Charles, everything changed. Now here is what makes this so layered and so interesting. Ethan's departure has everything to do with something that happened before he came back to town, a job that went badly wrong. That job involved Delilah. And Delilah has a daughter named Phoebe, whose father has never been identified. Ethan went digging through a cold case box at the police department to get a sample for a paternity test on Phoebe, which tells you that whoever Phoebe's biological father is, it is not a stranger. It is someone with a past, someone with a history in this world. Someone whose identity could cause real damage if it came to light. Hudson may not be Phoebe's father himself. The more likely scenario, the one that makes the most dramatic sense, is that Hudson works for Phoebe's father. He is the man sent ahead to do the tracking, to locate people, to deliver messages and warnings on behalf of someone who prefers to stay out of sight, at least for now. Whoever that person is, they are connected to something dangerous enough that Ethan, who is not exactly a man who frightens easily, is genuinely scared. And Ethan being scared means everyone around him should be scared too. So he makes a decision. The same kind of decision that people make when they love someone more than they love their own comfort. He decides to leave. Not because he wants to. Not because there is nothing in Port Charles worth staying for. But because staying means putting people he cares about in the path of something he is not sure he can protect them from. If Hudson's employer finds what they are looking for through Ethan, the fallout will not stop with him. It will reach his family. It will reach Phoebe. It will reach Lulu. And so Ethan goes to Lulu, and he tells her he is leaving.
Just like that.
Lulu is not going to take this easily. She is going to have questions, real, urgent, reasonable questions that she absolutely deserves answers to. And Ethan is not going to be able to give her most of them. Not because he does not trust her, but because the less she knows, the safer she is. That is the cruelest kind of goodbye, the one where the person leaving cannot explain why, and the person being left behind has to sit with the confusion and the hurt without any way to make sense of it. Ava is also going to get hit with this news, and her reaction is going to be its own kind of moment. Ava has history with Ethan. Finding out he has disappeared again, or is in the process of disappearing, is going to land hard. The bigger story underneath all of this is the villain waiting in the wings. Whoever Hudson ultimately reports to, whoever is so dangerous that their approaching presence sends Ethan running, that character is going to make waves in Port Charles in a way that nobody is fully prepared for. This is the beginning of something much larger. Hudson's arrival is just the opening move. The real player has not shown their face yet, but they are coming. Goodbyes, returns, and new faces walking through the door. And finally, let us talk about the changes coming to Port Charles on the casting front, because there is a lot happening, and some of it is genuinely bittersweet. First, the goodbye that is going to sting for a lot of viewers. Maxie and Spinelli are leaving town, and they are taking their whole blended family with them. All of the children. Everyone. The reason being written into the story is that Spinelli has landed a new job opportunity in Australia, and the family is following him there. It is a tidy enough story reason. But anyone who follows what happens behind the scenes understands that off-screen circumstances with the actress who plays Maxie have made it impossible for her to commit to the role the way the show needs right now. So rather than recast or sideline her, the writers made the call to write the entire family out together, at least for the time being. This is a significant loss for the canvas. Maxie has been part of Port Charles for so long that her absence will genuinely be felt. Spinelli, with all his quirky energy and loyal heart, leaves a hole too. And the children, James, Georgie, and little Bailey. Going with them means an entire corner of Port Charles suddenly goes quiet. Is this permanent? Almost certainly not. Soap opera goodbyes are rarely forever. But for now, the family is gone, and Port Charles will feel their absence in ways both big and small. On the other side of that coin, there is a return that longtime viewers are going to feel right in the nostalgia. Serena is coming back. For those who may need a reminder, Serena is the daughter of Scott, and she carries a complicated and beautiful family history that connects her to some of Port Charles's oldest stories. Her mother was Dominique, though Lucy served as her surrogate. She was last seen years ago, back in 2017, and her return now as an adult woman, being recast with a new actress stepping into the role, opens up a whole world of storytelling possibilities. What has she been doing all this time? What brings her back now? How does she fit into the Port Charles of today? Those questions are going to be worth exploring. And then there is Hudson. Hudson is the new face that is already rippling through existing storylines before he has barely said a word. A business executive with mysterious ties to Port Charles and a very specific agenda, Hudson is clearly going to be a major player in the stories unfolding this summer. His connection to Ethan's departure, his possible link to whoever has been fixated on Trina, his relationship to Phoebe's parentage situation, all of it suggests a character who has been threaded into the fabric of multiple storylines before he even officially arrives. That is the mark of a well-constructed new addition. He is not just a face for one story. He is a figure whose presence changes the shape of everything around him. And then there is Jacinda, returning to Port Charles with scenes alongside Michael that are being described as intriguing. Michael has had a relatively quiet stretch compared to some of the other characters burning through major drama right now, and the suggestion of something interesting stirring in his world is worth paying attention to. What Jacinda wants, what she and Michael discuss, what ripple effect that conversation sends out, those are questions that are about to get answered. Port Charles is shifting. Familiar faces are stepping away. New ones are stepping in. Old names are returning with new energy. And underneath all of it, the story's already burning. Drew's impossible position, Ethan's terrified exit, Trina's stalker, Nina's guilt, Anna's investigation, are all still very much alive and moving toward something. This is what General Hospital does best, sweetheart. It keeps the world turning. It keeps you guessing. It keeps you coming back. And right now, there has never been a better time to be watching.